Hi, this is KEV Roberts, the host of Northern Soul Time, with a very special episode from Charly Records today. We are going to be looking at the world of AI and talking to someone with a deep Northern Soul history too. It's my pleasure to welcome from the West Midlands, Colin Day. Hi, Colin.
Thanks very much for having me. Hi, Kev.
You have exploded. Well, some would say out of nowhere, but of course you have got a long history associated with the scene. But you have exploded in a marvellous way because you've got right into AI. It scares an awful lot of people,
sure,
particularly older ones that say, shouldn't be tampering with soul music or Northern Soul. I disagree with that. And you have really made your mark. I mean, there's a few tracks that we're going to be talking about, and they are simply superb. One in particular, which we will be playing later on. We'll get to how you got onto the scene many, many years ago, but let's get straight into AI.
Right.
And tell us more about it, because people are, obviously, everybody's aware of the word.
Yeah.
Everybody is saying, oh, it's something done with a computer. But there's far more to it. You've got to be an extremely creative person, and we'll talk about your voiceover background, etc. But it makes no difference. Somebody's got to put together quite a lot of things there to turn out the level of product that you have come up with, which is sensational, I have to say. And we're going to talk about your record label that's coming out very soon. But how did it all get started, AI, with you?
Well, the songs came first. I think that's the important thing, Kev. And we can get into the background of the songs. I can't speak for the whole of AI, but I know how I'm using it to make a serious, sincere, and I hope above all respectful attempt to recreate the sounds of 1960s soul music. And I think we're at the beginning of an AI revolution. People are understandably worried about impact on everyday life, and especially on the creative industries. But I find it really interesting. The space I find interesting is where human creativity connects with AI to create something that we couldn't do otherwise.
So let's go right to the start then, when you decided to have a go at all this. And as I say, others have tried it as well. I am aware of other people in the UK that have been messing around with it. Fortunately, I'm not one of them. And you, as I say, came from out of nowhere with this, an unlikely AI hero, I might add. So tell us about the first time when you said, I'm going to give this a go. I think I've got something to offer.
Yeah. Well, as I said, the songs came first. My background is in voiceover and jingle production, so I had a long career producing jingles. Several years ago, that side of things began to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think tastes change, budget shrank, and let's be honest, jingles were never the coolest thing anyway.
No.
And I think my wife Emma sensed a bit of creative frustration on my part. So one day I'm noodling around on the guitar and she kind of playfully challenged me to write a song for her.
So you were musical anyway? You
Yeah.
could play an instrument?
Yeah, well,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
To a point.
Okay, because there are people who assume that with a computer reading up on AI software, you're in business. But you've got to have something else.
Well, yeah, I think it's helpful to have a background in
Right.
music. So
Okay.
I've been producing jingles for years. Emma challenged me to write her a song. And I'd never written anything longer than 30 seconds and never anything meaningful. But I was up for the challenge and had a go. This is several years ago. And then come Christmas, we sat around the Christmas tree. It's all very sort of like the Von Trapp family. I got my guitar out and played the first song I'd ever written.
Yeah.
And then it just became a thing. I enjoyed the process, the creative challenge of it. So I became an amateur songwriter, if you like, with
Right.
no intention to do anything with
Right.
these songs at all. I had a go at making them into a private album. The thought was I'll produce a little keepsake for us and for the family, but I shelved that idea because as good as I thought my songs were, my voice wasn't really up to it. That was a couple of years ago. Moving on to AI, about a year ago, some mind-blowing, exotic music creation software dropped into my lap. I'd heard one or two examples of the end result on YouTube, people doing parody songs, which I thought were, well, that's kind of interesting and funny for a minute or two.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, I wonder if you take this software and try and do something serious and authentic with it. So I dived in.
What was your first effort?
First effort was the first song I wrote for Emma, which was a song called Why'd It Take So Long? I'd produced a couple of tracks, including that one. And I thought, these are okay, you know, maybe like a little bit of musicality. I wonder what would happen if I added a bit of guitar, maybe a bit of extra percussion, some keyboards. Whoa, then they started to really come to life.
The trial and error, really.
Trial and error, yeah. So it came to a point where I wanted a bit of validation, a little bit of an ego rub, and I thought, maybe these have got life outside of here. So I cut some acetates or carvers and sent them off to a couple of people, including yourself.
You did. In fact, I think you and I spoke before the carvers were made. The carvers, for those people who don't know, are sort of a limited cut.
Yes.
Sort of an alternative to what we call acetates.
Yes, they're done in real time.
Done in real time, and we'll get to some of those forthcoming releases very shortly as well. But and we had that conversation. I was bowled over when I heard them.
Yes. Now, I owe you an apology because at the time I sent you the carvers, I said, these are previously unreleased records, Kev.
Don't even say it, because I think anybody who had got product, and you were the first at it, really. You really were. I mean, yes, somebody may say, well, there was a couple on YouTube. I think I'd heard a couple on YouTube, but they hadn't quite gone as far as you had got. So I understand how the heck do you to even start talking about it? You know, I totally understand that. I think anybody would have done the same. I don't think anybody could just come out and say, hey, I've just been in my studio and I've been working on a computer and I've come out with these. It's not the same package. So I think you handled it very well.
Well,
actually.
Thank you. I wanted the music to be judged on its own merits.
Yeah,
and
quite right.
And when I sent you the initial carvers, you made some very nice comments. And at that point, I had a dilemma. I could have come out and fessed up and and told you everything. But I just kept my cards close to my chest because, expectation bias, it's a really real thing. And I wanted the music to be judged for how it sounded.
Well, look, we'll just hold up then, just at this juncture for a second while we come to my favourite track. That I've heard. I've not heard all of them. I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball at the moment, but the track that we're going to play is Lenny and the Illustrators. Great name.
Thank you.
Great name. It's the kind of thing that maybe Simon Susan would have come up with back in '74. You know.
Well, you'd think it would be great fun coming up with fictional band names, wouldn't you?
Lenny and the Illustrators, and I think this is just sensational, and I defy anybody not to think that this is not only a brilliant Northern Soul record, but a brilliant soul record. So let's hear, first of all, a clip from Riker Records. It's Colin's new label. We're going to be seeing product very shortly. And Lenny and the Illustrators, my personal favourite.
Still I can't say how, but I'm sure it's gonna happen, 'cause I'm ready. Yes, I'm ready, and I won't slow down. I want you in lace and satin, 'cause I'm ready. Yes, I'm ready, and I'm gonna wrap my whole darn world all up in you. Do you feel it too?
So the music industry is still assessing AI. One school of thought is that AI created songs are just one big sample. and subject to copyright. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think AI has learnt to make music in the same way that any musician learns, by listening to other music and building on that. Personally, I try and avoid anything that sounds like another record that I may have heard, or another vocalist, for instance.
Yeah.
I think AI has learnt, just like any musician has learnt, by listening and digesting music that's already out there.
Let's go right back to the start. How the heck did you get into Northern Soul? You're in the right area, though, to be. You're West Midlands.
Yeah, I was brought up in Worcester. Right. I think everybody loves to tell their story of how they got into soul.
I was doing gigs there in '73 in Worcester, and I thought, which was strange because everything was East Midlands or Lancashire, Northwest, a little bit of Yorkshire, and some East Midlands. But you know, when you start working for agencies and things, suddenly I'm in Worcester, Gloucester. I'm thinking, crikey, there is a scene here.
Yeah, definitely.
There is another world. So what got you started?
Well, there was always music.
No doubt a big brother that had a record collection.
It was a big brother. My first
love
love was the Beatles. I got to the age of 12 and I'm about ready for some more serious music. My sister's going out with the coolest kid you'll ever meet, a kid called Johnny Hathwaite.
Yeah.
I owe him such a debt of gratitude.
Right.
He was a professional drummer and a DJ.
Right.
Massive record collection, 10,000 records in his record room. His place was a sort of hangout for the local mods. And I was their little mascot, a mini mod. And I used to hear them talking with such passion about blue beat and ska, Tamla and soul music. And I was just curious. I wanted a part of it. So John just really educated me, played me all the top wheel sounds. He'd had a deal with the guy on the local newspaper for the past several years, where this guy did all the record reviews. So John used to buy all his demos for pennies every week. So he had like 10,000 records and never sold anything.
Yeah, there are a few guys like that around that just sort of almost treat it as a bit of a stamp collecting exercise. And, the unlikeliest characters sometimes have got huge record rooms.
Well, he was a massive soul fan and he just played me everything. You never forget hearing the Incredibles or the Invitations or Donald Hyatt for the first time. The Artistics and things like that. And he used to put them all on tape for me, but it was before cassettes, so I think cassettes were just coming in.
Reel to reel.
Reel to reel. We had a family reel to reel tape deck, and I had loads of tapes that John had done for me, and I just wore them out. I was obsessed. And he also introduced me to the roots of soul, to blues, doo-wop, and made sure I had a proper education. And I couldn't wait to get up north, as we called it.
Yeah.
And
did you go, though, to venues locally? Was there somewhere locally that moved you on a notch because you were hearing those type of records inside a venue?
Yeah. Local youth clubs, you're hearing things like the Fascinations and Doris Troy and things like that.
Yeah.
But my first trip up north, if you like, was to an all-dayer, because I was only, 14.
Yeah.
And I think the admission policy was a bit more relaxed on all-dayers.
Yeah.
So, my first trip was up to Top Rank Hanley.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Major Lance was supposed to be appearing.
Okay.
But he cried off. It actually didn't matter, because I got to hear Bob Ralph, Clara Ward, Jerry Williams, all those late torch sounds.
I think that was just a few weeks before I joined there. I worked there too.
Did you?
Yeah, because I was signed to the International Soul Club. Do you remember that?
The Soul Spinners.
Burton Daniels, from Marsh Parade, Newcastle under Lyme, But I don't think I worked. That sounds to me like about the summer of '73, pre-Wigan that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely pre-Wigan. It might have been '72. Varvos was my first all-nighter. I think that was summer of '73.
That would have been Les Cackel and Richard Serling. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Richard S.
Richard S. Yeah, that's what he was. Yeah.
And Blues and Soul was my Bible.
Of course.
Dave Godin was my hero.
Yeah.
And one of the things I loved was when the clubs advertised the records that they were spinning.
Aren't they legendary? I see T-shirts now with those catacombs. Here sounds like
Suffering City,
yeah.
Baby
Johnny
Reconsidered.
Copeland. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
They were wonderful. You often thought, didn't you?
Yeah.
Or you'd go into a record shop and try and
I used to write them
try
down.
and be clever.
Yeah.
And ask them because you knew they didn't have it.
Yeah. I used to write them down in exercise books and try and match the artist with the title. People underestimate how much influence those adverts had.
Yeah.
I know they caught my imagination when Vava's had a full page ad with a long list of records that Richard had brought back from Philadelphia, as we later
He did. Yes, he did.
Well, I had to go there. So that was my first all-nighter. And that was quite an experience.
Great. So the big gig comes along. It opened in September '73, Wigan Casino. You were there. You came into through the doors, and you're carrying a single with you that, you were carrying a single with you. If I remember the story that you told me, and nobody knew it at the time, or we don't think anybody knew it at the time. I certainly didn't. Yeah. I mean, I'd left, I think, in 1975, but it wasn't played then, I don't think.
No, it must have been early '74. I think you're talking about Paula Parfit, aren't you?
Yeah, we're talking about Paula Parfit. It's right here on Beacon, a record label from the UK, owned by Milton Samuels, and it was an interesting... we knew the label very well.
Yes,
lots of easy-to-find stuff. Showstoppers. Bobby Wells, and Root and Jenny Jackson.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
They were the things you always found in the junk shops, the ones that you didn't really need.
Yeah, I bought most of my records from junk shops. You could find so many goodies back then.
But this was has turned into a spectacular find, and it's really gathered pace over the years, not only in value, but the quality of it is marvellous. The song is good. The production is incredible.
Yeah, it's got some sublime moments in it, I think.
Oh, sensational. It really
I'd been up at Wigan and I heard Cherry People and Suddenly, and I thought, they're playing stuff like this. My brother-in-law, the record room, he had a shelf with poppy dancey stuff on it. So I went rooting through there and found that one. Short story, took it up to Wigan a couple of weeks later, gave it to Russ and said, here, play this, it's really good. Yeah. And bless him, he did. The floor didn't clear. I can't pretend that everybody went wild. Yeah. And I remember jumping up on stage and grabbing the record back after he played it. And I said, what do you think, Russ? What do you think? He said, yeah, it's all right. Bit poppy. But I thought that was ironic looking back.
That is ironic, yeah. Yeah. What happened to the record?
Oh, well, that...
I mean, this is mine. Yeah. But what happened to it?
Sold my British collection soon after Wigan closed. Yeah. It would have been late 81, beginning of 82.
So many did. I always call that the Danny and Sandy moment, where you hugged everybody like they did in Greece and said, the scene was great, have a great life, we'll never see each other again. Yeah. And of course, now it's bigger than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of people sold record collections. When Wigan Casino closed, the collections went with them.
Yeah, we thought it was on the wane, really, didn't we?
Well, I think it was being attacked, Colin, by people growing up. Somebody who might have been 18 at Wigan in '73 were now mid to late 20s. And also, as I say, I use that word attack, probably a bit stronger word, but jazz funk was grabbing a toehold. Wasn't it?
I got into it myself.
All of a sudden, the South, which really hadn't made a big impression with their musical roots, was up north, and it was up north big time. Also, let's not forget Coventry were on the scene with the two-tone movement.
Oh yes, of course.
Which sort of focused more on the 17-year-old that we once were at Wigan Casino.
Yeah.
So it was being attacked on all sides. So I think Wigan Casino had run its course, and then closed down, unfortunately. So a lot of people probably thought, well, end of an era, end of Northern Soul.
Yeah.
But how wrong they were.
Yeah, absolutely. And how glad we are that they were wrong as well.
In terms of just before we get back to Riker again, because we want to find out more about this, because these records are hopefully going to be released soon and people can start to collect them. But in terms of putting on the spot here, favourite records of all time?
Oh,
from the Northern scene, totally Northern soul.
okay.
Just things that you could hear them every day and it wouldn't annoy you.
Well, I think the point is that with my favourite records, I don't want to hear them every day in case they don't give me those goosebumps.
Yeah.
But anything by the Artistics, I suppose if you'd asked me for an all-time favourite, it's hard to see beyond Linda Jones, Just Can't Live My Life. It's got everything, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's great. And the Artistics are marvellous. Unfortunately, I'm a good friend of Marvin Smith. Back to Riker. What's the plan? Bring us up to date. When can the public start to collect this label?
Well, most of the tracks are out there in limited circulation. I've still got a handful which I'm holding back, and maybe we'll get to play one of them later on. The plan is to start issuing a couple of singles anyway and test the water in the spring. And if the singles go well, we'll issue some more. Yeah. And then hopefully look to get an album deal later on in the year and get them all out there on vinyl. Fantastic.
But I must say, on the idea and the craft that has gone into these, they really are great. I know you've got some of them up on YouTube, haven't you, at the moment?
Yeah, well, there's one or two clips.
There's one or two clips, okay. But what is the website for people to start to follow the story and find out about it? What is the website called?
Yeah, thanks for that, Kev. It's rikerrecords.com.
Simple, isn't it? Yeah.
And we're also on Facebook. And
RIKER.
rikerrecords.com.
Going to take a short break, and we'll be back talking to Riker Records Supremo, Colin Day, about AI. Back with Colin Day in just a moment, but let's hear another gem from the Riker Records archive. Not even released yet, coming soon, Standing Right Here by Lillie Mae Morton.
You're the one with a couple, and we're living in a loving bubble. We may be headed for all kinds of trouble, but baby, I don't care. 'Cause if the storm clouds come, then I promise I'll be standing right here. Even if the lightning strikes, I'll be standing right here. Ooh, you just bet your bottom dollar I'll be standing right here.
Love that track. Lillie Mae Morton, great. How long did that take to make? Probably some think 10 minutes, but tell us, it's the real deal. Tell us how do we do it? What happens?
Kev, I only wish I could click a mouse and another Lillie Mae Morton pops out or another Lenny. It's not as simple as that. There's quite a lot of craft goes into it.
Yeah.
First of all, it starts with the song, and I'm a slow writer. I mentioned that these songs were never intended for the public.
Yeah.
They've been private love letters to my wife, which I've written over the course of the past several years. So because I'm only writing 2 or 3 songs a year, I can spend loads of time on them. So typically, to write the lyrics, chords, melody, that's weeks. Right. Once I get into the programming, if you ever want to lose a weekend, start on a Friday night and next thing you know, it's 3 a.m. on Sunday morning. And
you're taking longer than Phil Spector, sir, to make this.
It's not a quick process. The software is brilliant, mind-boggling. It'll give you an infinity of choices, which you can then keep remixing. You can get into microscopic detail on the phrasing of the vocal, and still you've only got 30 seconds. And even then, you might end up trashing it and starting over again. So yeah, it takes a lot of passion, a lot of patience, and you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find a prince or a princess.
Have you listened to other attempts in your marketplace? And I just wonder what you thought to them. I mean, I haven't listened to too many, by the way.
Yeah.
There are a few people trying it. There's some people some are quite comical, actually, that they are using very strange lyrics and still making good product. But yours are more authentic because I think the songs are so much better than what I've heard from. Well, they're not even competitors, are they? Because I think there's a lot of quite a few bedroom type operators who are just happy to see something that's rhythmically like Northern Soul, but they're not spending hours on. It's not a love song. It's not poetry.
No. Well, I'm the kind of person when I'm all the way in, and this has been a real sort of passion project. I've heard some parody songs on YouTube, and I think they're quite funny and interesting. What makes the Riker stuff different? I think it's a combination, really. It's a fully human written song, AI executed. The overdubs, guitar, sax, people you might know, keyboards help to bring more musicality to it and bring it to life, I hope.
So, Colin, you're involved with the Stax Music Academy. It sounds exciting. Tell us more.
Well, I wanted to honour the cultural debt to soul music, and this is my way of giving back. I'm in the unusual position that Riker don't have any royalties to pay to artists. So we've pledged to donate the artist share of the royalties to the Stax Music Academy in Memphis.
Superb. I've been to the museum there, which is amazing. And the stuff they're doing, keeping all that music alive, it's wonderful. And you're doing the same.
Well, it helps to encourage the next generation of soul singers and musicians and producers. It's basically an after-school school that gets kids ready for the music business.
Yeah. So we wish you all the best with the Riker label, because it is an unusual time. People are going to be a little bit confused about it all. I hope we've answered some questions today, but I can assure you, as a influencer, promoter, DJ, whatever, this is the best stuff I've heard, without a doubt, on the AI scene. And I've only been used to it like everybody else just for a few months, but without a doubt, these are great. So I wish you all the best, my friend, in this, because I think there's some hits there.
Well, thank you, Kev. That means so much.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
So my thanks to Colin Day and Riker Records, some excellent product. We've been discussing AI today. Thanks for watching. See you next time for another episode of Northern Soul Time. To listen to some of the great music we've been talking about today, click the links below. If you want to buy great Northern Soul music, visit charlydirect.com.
With all the fellas standing around.